What is up, you awesome kisters? It is CistReactZ here, guys. Today we're reacting to Film Theory FNAF I Know How the Movie Trilogy Ends. So make sure you guys hit that like button, subscribe to the Film Theorists, and comment down below. And let's get into this bop. I like that intro. Four film theories remain?
Welcome to
Is that until he retires?
Theory, the show that deserves its own semi-canon novelization. Friends, it feels like some sort of cruel joke. The Five Nights at Freddy's movie came and went from theaters. It was fun. It did great financially, and we all had ourselves a grand old time. We moved on, and now we wait patiently for the next installment to drop where Mike seeks help for a sleeping disorder, and Freddy and friends take their fort-building business on the road to turn it into a major real estate venture.
1-800-BITE-87.
As it should be. And yet, they couldn't just leave well enough alone, could they? Because just like clockwork for this franchise, they turned the movie into a book. A book! Even though I announced my final episodes, I still couldn't get out of this thing fast enough, could I? Even though all the book releases were technically done for the franchise, after 22 solid books.
I feel like as a parting gift, Scott has to tell him the lore.
All the other spin-off materials, good old Scotty Cawthon found a way to squeeze one more in on me before my foot was out the door.
Love you,
know
Matt.
What I did? I read the thing. And I gotta say,
wait, it's
I'm
out?
glad that I did, because let me tell you, it is a theorist gold mine. Ladies and gentlemen, I stand before you today to tell you that the FNAF movie book... that the FNAF movie book... Oh, I can't even say it.
Oh, because he doesn't like the books.
Makes me ill to acknowledge that something like this exists. Ladies and gentlemen, I stand here today to tell you that the book version of the FNAF movie, it tells us everything about where the film spin-off series is headed to next. And perhaps more importantly than anything, it tells us that the big reveal of Chapter 3 is gonna be that Vanessa is a robot. Yeah, I know. You may now commence throwing things angrily at your computer monitor. So while you're busy getting yourself an angry arm workout, what am I
We were simping over a robot?
Well, I don't know if you're aware of this, but it's not uncommon for films to get themselves what are known as movie novelizations. Basically a book that retells the exact same story as a movie.
You could have used Hunger Games. Who the hell is thinking about Gremlins when they think about books and movies?
Insight into characters, their thoughts, their motivations, more descriptions of scenes, things like that. As you might imagine, novelizations like these were really popular before home video because people didn't have a way to relive the theater experience at their house. Nowadays, though, it's more of an additional source of found revenue for a movie. You already got yourself a script written after all, so you might as well throw in a few thousand extra words, slap a cover on it, probably just recycle some old promotional artwork, and boom! You just made yourself a couple extra bucks from the hardcore fans and the collectors. So of course,
Frozen the Sinistry.
I was legally bound to read through it with the hope and expectation that there might be some juicy lore.
Ew, what is pouring through the book?
So let me tell you,
Afton's drool?
Disappointed. It was like experiencing the movie through some sort of weird multiverse.
Yo,
for instance,
what is that background effect? That's like watching FNAF on shrooms or something.
I am actually in the book. Well, Ness, my character from the movie. The catchphrase is in there and everything.
Okay.
It is really cool.
It's just a theory? That's crazy.
Tall, lanky, auburn-haired teen. I appreciate
Tall,
that book.
lanky,
You know what they say,
auburn-haired
the camera
teen.
adds 10 pounds, but the novelization removes 20 years. That said, on the subject of learning more lore, apparently, and I didn't even know this is the guy who was playing the character, Ness is supposedly the son of the diner's owner, whose name is, in fact, Sparky. And that right there, that's a pretty interesting detail when you consider that there's a dog animatronic who we've all been assuming is Sparky hidden in the back of Freddy's Pizzeria. It is a super unusual detail that gets just a little bit more explanation and a bit more insight, all thanks to the novel. So, I'm the son of a fake animatronic dog. File that one in my character bio right alongside my undying
best
love
FNAF
for Doug
characters.
the lawyer. Or maybe not. You see, Doug in the books, he is a very different character. The diner
is he not nervous?
Features him openly creeping on Maxine, enough so that she thinks of him as a total sleazeball. Let's just say that he's hungry for more than just the apps. Thankfully, this is one of the precious few times that Scott Cawthon has stepped in to set the record
Scott
straight,
PNG is so scary.
This gross version of my best shipmate is in fact non-canon.
Hey everyone, some issues are much easier to address than others, and this is an easy one. So many of you know Doug does something in the novelizations that seems out of character. From the Doug we all know and loved in the movie, the specific item was deleted from the official transcript months before the book was printed, but I maybe accidentally submitted the wrong version. Go fucking... How do you do this, bro? I'm not sure. Either way, just to clear this up, movie Doug is canon, book Doug is not canon. Damn, what did Doug do, bro? Jeez,
and that this
what was he looking for? What did he say?
In short, Nug lives on. Or
Nug?
Consider us dead.
I'm searching this up mid-video. Book Doug FNAF. What was the excerpt? Wait, I actually can't find it. An actual excerpt from the movie. Okay. She noticed Doug was staring at her breasts as he slurped on a cup of coffee, to which she watched him add 4 creams and 6 packets of sugars just a few minutes before. Why is that even necessary? Like, bro doesn't even say anything in the movie, so what is he about to say in the book?
Anyway, you can already see how having more words on
he did not need all that extra spice added to him.
On the screen, and likely
Doug NSFW.
Intent of these sorts of moments. And as you might imagine,
maybe that's why he called him Nug.
Like Doug and I are getting lore drops from the books, then the main characters are also getting a lot of extra info in there as well. For instance, in the movie, it was lightly implied that Maxine had a bit of a crush on Mike. I picked it up right here, where she subtly signals that she wants him to put a ring on it.
I wish someone would buy me a ring.
It's not a big plot point, but you can tell that there's a bit more under the surface of this interaction. In the book, though, it goes from subtle
She said that like she actually wanted a ring, though.
She constantly dresses up for Mike, dropping tons of hints about her interest, growing more and more frustrated with Mike as he's completely oblivious to her advances. In fact, it's actually part of her motivation for spying on him for Aunt Jane, which she also feels very regretful for in the books, unlike the film where she just kind of looks sad out of a window for a bit. Another huge detail about the main characters, Mike is more of a theorist in the book than he was in the film, actively taking on more of the responsibility for unraveling the mystery. He independently does research. He even discovers the missing children's incident by himself instead of just being told about it by Vanessa later on in the film.
That would have kind of been better.
That part of the character from the film, lest he get compared to the performances coming.
See, that would have kind of been better, because like I want to see a security guard that like realizes that there's something wrong with the restaurant, and then he looks into why that would be, and then says, "Oh, it's a fucking ghost story. Then I'm not coming back here tomorrow," because that would have been me.
From other established theorists in the
community. It's John.
Okay, so that's obviously a bunch of random observations and details, adding a bit more
Love
texture
seeing
to
him
these
on
characters that
Game
either
Theory.
got cut for time or glossed over in a more visual storytelling medium. But there is so much more packed into this book, enough so that I believe that we can figure out exactly where the story of the next 2 movies is headed. And it all begins with the hill that apparently I'm going to be dying on for my final FNAF theories: a human being a robot. Don't hate the player, hate the game. Literally, I'm not the one making up the story.
Don't hate the player,
I just interpret the clues as best I can. But in this case, we don't have ourselves a robot boy. Instead, we have ourselves a robot cop, Vanessa.
RoboCop.
Vanessa is a robot, and I suspect she's not going to be the only one. No, obviously that is
this
a
train
huge
is going to be
claim to make,
super
so
loud.
let's start
I'm just
backing
waiting to
it up,
pause the
shall we?
video.
Last time we talked about how Film Afton seems to be much
You know what,
further
this
along
sounds
in his
too loud.
understanding of the possessed animatronics than either his game or book counterparts. For instance, he knows that they operate based off the pictures that are hung on the wall.
What have you done?
He knows that, as he's dying, he needs to be wearing the golden bodysuit in order for his soul to survive by bonding to the metal.
I always come back.
He even seems to have a rudimentary understanding of Remnant based on the existence of that weird torture Freddy mask. I mean, seriously, these animatronics are not inventing a device like this. It has to have been man-made. In fact, the novelized version of the movie's cold open suggests exactly this. If you read the prologue of the book very closely, you learn that Bob, the security guard who
he has a name.
the film, had already figured out that he was nothing more than a lamb for the slaughter in this job. First, his internal monologue acknowledges that he had been hired to guard the pizzeria.
Of all the eerie rooms in the pizzeria that he'd been hired to guard, this was the room that freaked him out the most when he'd seen it.
It's written expressly in sarcastic scare quotes there, showing that he knows very well that the job was never meant to be real. And as he's being dragged to his death by the animatronics, he passes by the kid's drawing of Afton holding the kid's hands. And we read that bile fills his throat in this moment. He knows that picture and the rabbit specifically is the reason that he's currently fighting for his life. In short, the extra details in the prologue of the novelization strongly suggest that Afton is actively hiring guards to this pizzeria to harvest a remnant from them so he can continue on with his experiments.
Created a remnant grinder.
His control over the animatronics to help make all of this happen. And because of that, despite this being an adaptation of one of the earliest FNAF stories, Film Afton is likely already tinkering with much more advanced animatronic technology. Again, look no further than the cold open of the novel. The torture Freddy mask isn't just an old repurposed Freddy head like it is in the movie. Instead, it's described like this. Quote, "The 2 halves of the bear face peeled back like the wings of a beetle, expanding outward. As the fur parted, spinning robotic mechanisms filled Bob's vision." This description of how the mask operates, with pieces that split apart and fold out,
like
is
the
actually
CistReactZ
much more fitting of a different generation of animatronic, the Funtime animatronics. And what do we see in FNAF 5? The game where these Funtimes take center stage? Down in Afton's bunker, we see articulating humanoid robot heads, eyes constantly blinking. They're alive, and they're watching us. And these aren't just set decorations either. These heads are important enough to have been directly called out by the FNAF character encyclopedia. In the game prior, FNAF 4, Afton's final line was, "I will put you back together." And in FNAF 5, we see exactly that. A bunker made by Afton full of robotic humanoids. A mad scientist of a man trying to use his robotic skills to bring a human back to life, to put his loved ones back together, literally. Going back to the movie, this is likely why we see a humanoid animatronic with teeth,
That would be a good motivation.
with 5 articulated human fingers buried in the parts and services room. It's not just an Easter egg put there from scraps laying around the Jim Henson office. This looks like it's a first-generation robot person. So we have an Afton that's already harvesting and experimenting with Remnant at the beginning of this film. And we know that there's a human-shaped robot buried in the parts and services room that suggests that he might have been working on some sort of human prototype. That right there, though, is still a long way away from creating a convincing enough robot that it's able to fool literally everyone around it. And why then would it be Vanessa, of all people? Well, the first thing I'd like to talk about here is actually something that jumped out to me the first time I watched the movie: the performance of Vanessa's actress, Elizabeth Lale. Something I noticed throughout the movie was how aloof and disconnected Vanessa seemed. Her voice was always
Aloof
flat,
and disconnected.
character almost always stoic.
The new security guard?
Yeah.
You're bleeding, by the way. You and
Stoic?
Abby still have each other. From where I sit, I'd say you're lucky.
And for the times that she actually did show emotion, she was flipping on a dime, seemingly out of nowhere.
Take care of your sister. You can do whatever you want with your own life, but if you ever bring Abby back here again,
Wait, I need to search up that word on video. Because to me, stoic is like this. Like that face. I know I've searched this up before, too. Yeah, it's just kind of like no reaction, just kind of like neutral-faced. Is she kind of like smiling? Maybe I heard that
Considering
wrong.
the character that she's based on from the games, you'd think that she might be more bubbly or
I mean, in the scenes before, she was smiling and she seemed goofy.
energetic based on how she was in Security Breach.
Hello, little boy. If you're down here, say something.
Hey, little man. Do you know what time it is? The doors are open. Why are you still here?
And this isn't meant to be
Not
some
a
sort of
word.
critique on Elizabeth Lale's performance. or
Why is
anything
he
like
still
that.
there?
We know that she's a talented actor. I mean, just check out some of the clips of her playing Anna in the show Once Upon a Time.
He's Prince Charming, and you're Snow White, and those things sound terrible, but they also sound romantic. What is that amazing smell?
I was just about to say, because I kind of zoned out when Matt Pat was talking for a bit. I was about to say, is that fucking Frozen? And yes, it is.
Perhaps direction to sound a bit more robotic. In the novelization, Vanessa seems to shift personalities
No more
on a
zoning
dime,
out, I'm locked
changing
in.
between what Mike describes as the bubbly girl mode and the intensely serious cop mode.
Girl
For example,
mode,
during
cop
their
mode.
first night meeting, we get this, quote, "Then someone invisible flipped a switch. Vanessa's cop mode deactivated." That right there, it's a pretty suspicious way of phrasing a psychological change like that. Intentionally using robotic language in this franchise? Yeah, press X to doubt. The same thing
I mean,
happens
it
towards
makes
the end of the movie,
sense,
too,
you know,
where
to
after
use the
Vanessa's
robot
stabbed by
language.
Afton, Abby notices this, quote again, "Vanessa's eyes looked weird, like they were lights that were having a hard time staying on." And speaking of both Vanessa's eyes and
Okay,
the
now that
personality
sounds
shifts,
strange.
the absolute biggest piece of evidence here, Vanessa's eyes literally change color when she shifts personalities. Check it out.
Wait.
Again from the book, page 144. Right after Mike tells Vanessa about his Garrett kidnapping dreams, quote, "The narrowing of the eyes, the stiffening of her mouth," she was back in cop mode. No, Mike thought, it wasn't cop mode, it was something else. Vanessa's irises deepened noticeably in hue. They went from their usual soft, almost grayish blue to a deeper indigo. The color shift was so pronounced that it almost looked computer generated. Computer generated, huh? What a
Okay,
choice of
nah.
words that is. And
Yeah, because, like, when it said flipping a cop mode to, like, normal mode, I was like, okay, maybe they're just, you know, using robot language, Five Nights at Freddy's, ha ha ha. They're really kind of, you know, beating on the robot here, or the robot talk here.
Indigo, you say? You mean the color that some would confuse with purple? But perhaps the single most telling part of this
Orpal?
little
I haven't
paragraph
heard no one
comes
say
from
that
the
in a
final
minute,
line.
bro.
It was enormously disquieting. Mike felt like he was watching a human turning into, and then he trails off, not having a chance to finish the thought. Turning into what, Mike? Turning into what? A robot, perhaps? And this thing with the eyes, it isn't just a one-off change. It is a consistent part of Vanessa's character descriptions throughout the
Even if it
entire
was a
novel.
one-time
We'll explain how
thing,
spring
you know,
lines
she
work.
probably just
Quote, "Vanessa's
glitched."
irises did the light blue to dark blue thing. Her eyes had turned an even deeper blue, navy
It's just
blue now,
happening
almost
once
black.
is
As
a
Vanessa's
problem.
explaining her father's creations like the spring locks, again, the eyes get darker, sometimes purple and sometimes black. It's
Does it
almost
happen in
as
the
if
movie
she's
too?
fallen back on some sort of Afton-designed programming, almost like he's controlling her. In fact, every time Vanessa tries to do something to keep Mike from looking into this mystery and uncovering Afton's secrets,
Now,
her
people would
eyes
notice
go
it
to
if it
this
happened in the
darker
movie.
color. In the scene next to the storm drain where she tries to convince Mike not to try sleeping and dreaming of Freddy anymore, her eyes are dark blue. In the same scene, as Mike tries to get Vanessa to open up so he can get to know her better, he notices that her eyes grow darker and become blurred. And then something, in quotes, breaks any connection that they're forming. And yet, when she's begging for him not to go to Freddy's at all, to save himself and Abby, again, quote, "He looked into her eyes, so soft and blue right now that it seemed like some of her her essence, life force, was leaching from her. If there's some
Here we
Afton-driven
go.
programming controlling Vanessa, that would also explain one of the stranger moments from the film. After Mike is attacked by the animatronics and saved by Vanessa, she reveals the dark secrets of her past and the pizzeria. When Mike asks her to help save Abby, though, she declines. Not because she doesn't want to help, but because she feels like she literally can't.
Come with me.
If he's there, I won't be any use to you, believe me.
And when she does show up to the pizzeria later on, once confronted by Afton, she's only able to bring herself to shoot once before completely freezing up, kind of like a computer that's crashed.
I don't know. It's like that is a pretty strange choice of words. I'm not going to be any use to you, but the next thing you know, she does pull like a gun up on him when he gets there.
Even my favorite line of the movie.
You had one job. Keep him in the dark and kill him if he got too close.
That's 2 jobs.
Is a robotic, process-driven answer. And before I say that Vanessa can't be a robot because we see her get stabbed
That's
and have to go
2
to the
jobs.
hospital, yeah, that's admittedly the biggest point against the theory. That said, remember the franchise that we're talking about here, friends? These
Oh, this is
robots
just
can be
so
so
long.
lifelike, so realistic that you cannot tell them apart from real humans at all. They eat, they sleep, they breathe. They can even bleed like Charlie does in the original.
By the way, speaking of Cassie, bro, if y'all seen that one video of me on TikTok, like mistaking Cassie for somebody else, and you laughed at it, screw you, all right? Jeez, it's like making circulation on TikTok right now, and I just wanted to say screw you. And then it's like the video came out months ago, and people are still trying to correct me today. Like, bro, Ruin came out months ago. I obviously know who Cassie is now, but screw anybody who laughed when it first dropped.
They eat, they sleep,
I didn't
they
realize who
breathe,
she
they
was
can even bleed
at
like
first.
Charlie does in the original FNAF book trilogy. I get that the FNAF franchise tends to be cryptic, but time and time again, there have been signs that someone in this franchise is a robot. Maybe it was Gregory from Security Breach. We know for a fact that Charlie from the book trilogy was, Jessica from Frailty, Billy from B7,
Jessica
Sarah
from
To
what?
Be Beautiful. The list goes on and on and on.
Billy
They
from
are
what?
hitting us over the head time and again with these
I gotta
kids
read these
who
damn
become
books, bro.
robots. And if I just keep saying that one of these characters is in fact an animatronic, eventually I will be right. Right? This would even make some strange imagery from the games make more sense. Remember the unmasked ending from Security Breach? No, of course not. Why would you?
Listen, bro, Scott needs to make, like, I don't know, a FNAF game hub or something like that, or just like make like one big FNAF title that has every single book FNAF in it. I don't know what you should call it. Like the FNAF Chronicles, the Freddy's Chronicles. How about that? Wait, let me search up the word Chronicles, because I think that's the word I'm looking for. Sure, like whatever, just like the Freddy pages, the Freddy Chronicles, like make that like one big title that shows all your games. I mean, make that a game that shows all your books.
Well, in it, we see 2 Vanessas. One who's fallen to the ground and died, while another's still up on the roof of the building looking down
So people
at
can
the
get
scene.
into
This
the
was
book
always
lore
weird,
more.
And we as a FNAF community just kind of politely ignored it. But it suddenly makes a lot more sense if Vanessa is in fact a robot. This is just 2 recreations of the same model. One became active the second the other one died, which again is something that we see happening in the original novel trilogy with Charlie bots. But why? Sure, Afton might be creepy, and he's even creepier in the book, but why go through all of this trouble?
Bro, it's
Keep the
creepy no matter
pizzeria
where
up and
he's
running,
at.
Hire new guards to farm remnant from, create an animatronic as human as Vanessa? Why is he doing it? Well, the answer seems to be staring us in the face throughout the movie. It's this. The Ella Springlock suit in the back. Think about it. Vanessa is incredibly cautious around this animatronic in the film, warning Mike not to go near it and going as far as threatening to shoot him if he brings Abby back to the pizzeria. If she loves all these animatronics so much, why is she so cautious about this one? Well, what if it already killed someone? Someone Vanessa knows very well. Someone like herself. Afton's daughter, the original Vanessa.
That would be
I
crazy.
believe that in his desire to create the best animatronics possible, Afton created this Ella Springlock animatronic, and it ended up killing his own daughter. Just like what we see happen with Baby in the games. That is where his obsession started. His desire to find the secrets of life after death. He wanted to rebuild his daughter, and in the process, he discovered Remnant, how to create it, the pain required for it. That's why he built the torture device.
These effects on the screen are crazy.
And made sure that it was close to the Ella animatronic in the parts and services room. Afton wanted to infuse the suit with Remnant, all in the hopes of bringing back his real Vanessa. Eventually, he was able to build the Vanessa that we see in the movie, but even then, she's difficult. She rebels. She doesn't want to help him as much, especially when children like Abby get involved. It's not his real Vanessa. And so Afton will keep trying and trying and trying. And if I'm right about this, it tells us a huge amount about where the franchise is headed in the next film. In our last theory, we suggested that Mike's brother Garrett is likely the identity of the puppet in the films, and will probably be the centerpiece of the second movie. I mean, the credits literally end with the puppet telling both Mike and the audience to come find me. However, this is gonna be a problem for Mike, Abby, and Vanessa. You see, Afton has a strange connection with Garrett. In the book, Garrett actually appears in the pizzeria during the final battle, luring Mike to a more secluded area where Afton can ambush him. Afton has control over Garrett's spirit in the scene, enough so that Garrett literally melts into the shadows that Afton emerges from. Quote from the book, "It was as if Garrett became part of the gloaming under the archway. He was there, and he was something else. In Garrett's place, someone in a rabbit costume appeared. Not just someone, a man. So if Afton controls Garrett's spirit, it's likely that the puppet is going to be the villain of the second film, creating a whole new conflict for Mike to overcome. And then if the third movie follows the third game, an undead Afton will be back as the main antagonist, with the grand reveal that he's been able to make robot.
I feel like Mike's coming back in the third one. The second one's got to be
a robot,
an
and
old
Afton
one.
will tempt Mike with exactly what he wants. He could put Garrett back together as a robot kid, exactly the way Mike remembered him as a child, just as Afton did with his daughter. All Mike has to do is help Afton with his evil experiments, and Mike then will be left with a choice. Just how badly does he want his brother back? Guess we'll have to watch the movie and then read the corresponding 8-book series released afterward to find out. But hey, even though Vanessa might be mechanical, there's one thing I know she'd be able to appreciate: the sponsor of today's episode, Air Up.
Damn, before I can even get the word sponsor out, he said it. I was just about to say, is it a goddamn sponsor? All right, so that was just a water bottle, and that was just a theory, a game theory, or a film theory, I mean. So if you guys want to see more FNAF videos on the channel, make sure you guys hit the like button, comment down below, subscribe for more to become a Kister today. Let me know what you guys thought about Matt Pat's theory, because it did seem pretty interesting.